Before we begin, I want to take a moment to honor the emotional safety of everyone listening. Radiant Resilience often explores real stories of struggle, healing, and the human experience. Because of that, episodes may include sensitive or triggering topics. Specific topics for each episode are listed in the episode description, so please check there to determine if this conversation feels right for you today. This podcast is meant to offer connection, understanding, and shared humanity, but it is not a substitute for professional advice or support. If you find yourself needing help, please reach out to qualified professionals or trusted resources in your life. Your mental and emotional well-being matters deeply here. Thank you for your courage, your openness, and for joining me in this space of compassion and resilience. Welcome back, everyone, to Radiant Resilience. I am very excited for our conversation today, as always. I have with me today Aleksandra Ceho. She is a professional astrologer, educator, and speaker who integrates esoteric principles with practical strategy to support personal and professional growth. Her work focuses on using astrology as framework for self-awareness, emotional intelligence, business forecasting, and leadership development. Through her readings, workshops, and keynote presentations, Aleksandra helps individuals and organizations align purpose with performance, build meaningful relationships, and navigate change and the future with clarity and confidence. Known for her insightful and relatable communication style, she bridges the gap between spirituality and business, empowering clients to make conscious values driven decisions that foster authenticity, resilience, and long-term success. I think we're gonna have a really good conversation today, Aleksandra. Thank you so much for being here. How are you?
I am wonderful. How are you? I'm so excited.
Yes, me too. I'm really good. I think this is going to be a lot of fun. And forewarning for anyone listening, we're both nasally and sniffly thanks to allergies. So we are recording this at the beginning of spring and we're both a little bit of a mess. So we apologize in advance. But anyways, so tell me about your astrology journey, how you got into it, when it showed up for you, and all the things.
Oh my gosh. Okay. My journey with astrology actually started when I was a child. My grandfather was an amateur astrologer.
Okay.
And whenever I would go to my grandparents' place, they lived 2 hours north of Toronto in an area that's all marsh and swampy and that kind of thing. So it wasn't always exactly fun to play outside. So I would go and I would steal my grandfather's astrology books from the bookshelf.
That's hilarious. Love that.
They had stories about Athena and Zeus and
Mm.
Aphrodite, Hermes, and I fell in love with the stories of the Greek gods. And so every time I went back, I would go and I would steal his books off the shelf. I would go into the guest bedroom. There was a wall-to-wall closet filled with snacks there. So I
Perfect.
was, yeah, I was in good condition.
Yeah.
I started at about 5 or 6 reading astrology. And a lot of times I would have his books and then I would have a dictionary beside me trying to figure out the words that I didn't understand.
Oh, wild. That's really cool. It was the universe was calling to you immediately. This is this girl's purpose.
Absolutely. Astrology was my first love. And it remained with me through my entire life. And so at the age of 10, I cast my first chart using what's called an ephemeris. And as I grew older, I would go to the library and I would take out books. With the advent of the internet and astrology websites, of course, like those old GeoCities pages,
Oh my gosh.
taking us back in time, right?
Yes.
I would read everything that I could get my hands on. And when I was 19, yeah, 19 actually, I was actually training in martial arts at the time, and one of my boxing coaches actually suggested a session called the Life Activation. And so I went and I received it, and they suggested this class called Empower Thyself. And I was like, yeah, sure, why not? And I sat in that class, and I'm telling you, Tawny, like questions that I had for years were answered in that class.
Oh, wow. What kind of
But
questions?
for example, the books that I had about astrology very often painted it as like a limitation. This is who you are. And if you want to be something
Oh.
different, basically go see a counselor, go see a therapist. So now that's very much a product of the 70s. If
Okay.
you read the astrology books prior to the 70s, they never spoke about things that way. But in the 70s and the 80s, a lot of the astrology books that came out started placing emphasis on, as an example, so you're a Pisces, right? And
Yes.
happy belated.
Thank you. Yes, we're recording this just a few days after my birthday.
The intuitive and emotional nature of Pisces, if you wanted to change that, say like you didn't want to have like hyper emotionality, the answer for that was go see a therapist. And so
Oh, hell.
everything was go see a therapist. You need therapy for that. And I was like, is there something really that wrong with me that I need therapy all the time?
This is
And
an interesting question, and it's interesting that this is coming up too, because I just read an article the other day about falling into the never-ending cycle of self-help and constantly thinking there's something wrong with you, like even when you've maybe already addressed your childhood trauma, but there's just you're always looking for something to be wrong and something to be fixed. And so this is interesting. I feel like it's along the same lines.
yeah, actually, so one of the things that I learned in that class was about this concept of the negative ego. So,
Oh.
when it comes to astrology, it's actually all positive. But when we're born here, we have our spirit, which is very much what the astrological qualities are. But then we also get this negative ego. And the negative ego is all of our programming, our traumas, and all those things in the background. And on this spiritual path that I have walked, there's two main works, I guess you could say. And one is minimization of that negative ego. But if you only focus on that, it becomes a trap.
Yeah.
You end up in that constant loop of self help.
Yeah.
But the other component to it is growing in your goodness,
Oh.
which means really embodying the areas of wisdom that are part of who you are,
Hmm.
developing your strengths, having better relationships, more abundance, greater health. All growing the positive is actually the bigger part of the work. But in
Hmm.
today's world, and especially with what happened in the 70s and 80s, where psychology really became popular, was we all became fixated on this minimization of the negative. And
Hmm.
it becomes this loop, like you said, where we end up trapped in the same narrative that there is something wrong with us. And
Hmm.
you end up stagnating
Oh, yeah.
because you're not actually focusing on growing and expanding the positive qualities and strengths and talents and abilities that are part of who you are.
I love that. So that's some of the stuff you learned at that class then?
Oh my gosh, all sorts of things. But yeah,
Yeah.
so it really started to answer the question for me, what if I don't want to be this way?
So,
That was the big thing. And what if I don't want to be this way without needing therapy?
right. Now
Because
what?
I didn't need therapy.
Yeah.
Managing my intuitive abilities did not require therapy.
So then since that was such like an eye-opening class for you, is that really where like you were like, this is what I want to do?
What's funny, I was in university when I took that class. And I ended up graduating from university. I became a kinesiologist. I was working in motor vehicle accident clinics and treating patients. As I started to enter my 20s, I started doing readings on the side because I was so passionate about astrology.
Yeah.
I was always talking about it. And so friends started asking for readings, and that just launched, I guess, what you could call a side business, basically.
Yeah.
And my little side hustle. And it was good. I needed it because like being paid as a kinesiologist was it was nothing. Like,
Really?
oh, it was horrible.
Oh man.
I graduated from university and got paid $12 an hour.
Oh geez. That's wild.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh.
So I started doing astrology readings on the side and I continued taking classes. So that class, Empower Thyself, is actually with the Modern Mystery School. And so I continued taking
Fun.
classes. I became a practitioner and now I'm actually an international instructor. And so this is how I ended up teaching astrology. But it was always my first love. It's been my first passion. And as I continued through healthcare for a couple of years, I realized this isn't for me. Most of my patients, it was the craziest thing, Tawny. Like they The problems they were complaining to me about had nothing to do with their physical pain. So
Mm.
they'd been in car accidents, but the pain that they were experiencing was the pain of their life being upended
Yeah.
and having to deal with insurance and like even just simple things like I used to be able to walk upstairs without pain, but like now there's all kinds of things that I can't do. And it wasn't even the pain itself, it was the impact on their confidence,
Yeah.
right?
Because they
At
can't, they
feeling the
weren't,
limitation.
yeah. And then because they weren't living the life they were before. Oh, man. So tell me a little bit. We all know astrology as the signs, the Pisces, the Capricorns, all of that stuff. Is that like hugely important? We all read our horoscopes and things like that. How accurate is all that stuff?
I'm going to do this now. People can't see, but basically, your zodiac sign most likely is minimally accurate.
Oh, interesting.
And the reason that I say that is you have an entire natal chart.
Yes.
And within that natal chart are other planets that influence other archetypes within you.
Mhm.
And then the time that you were born also indicates certain orientation. So, for example, what it does is it provides me with what's called the ascendant. And the ascendant is what you're growing into. So, your sun sign is where you start off.
Okay, so
Now,
my
in
Pisces is my sun sign.
is your sun sign
Mhm.
exactly. So, it's where you're starting off. But then your rising sign is where you're going to. What are
Hmm.
you becoming? What are you acquiring in this lifetime?
Hmm.
Yeah, the ascendant indicates an aspect of growth.
Okay.
It is acquisitional in nature. Now, you're not necessarily guaranteed to acquire it. um,
Sure.
we can all have resistance and we can choose not to grow. But for
Mhm.
those of us who really do want to grow, the ascendant indicates the lessons and the challenges that come from acquiring different strengths and wisdom and
Hmm.
talent,
And that's
right?
throughout your life?
That's throughout your life. It's an
Okay.
acquisitional process.
And what determines that?
So you would need to know your date, time, and location of birth.
Oh,
And
location,
then
yes.
the eastern horizon, where the eastern horizon was pointing, is what the ascendant is. And so, whatever
Hmm.
sign it was pointing towards gives you an insight into what you are trying to become.
Interesting. So do you do a lot of the birth chart readings?
So, that's actually very much part of my process. So, a lot of astrology that I do is for entrepreneurs and business professionals, that kind of thing. But I always do a natal chart. And the reason is I need to know who I'm working with.
Sure.
So the bulk of my work is what would be called forecasting. To most people, you're going to think horoscope, right? And the horoscope, it's fun, but it's not really astrology. Let me put
So
it to you that way.
based on what you just described to me a minute ago, if I was looking at my horoscope, this just came to my brain. So if this is totally dumb, you can tell me. But I feel like I should be looking at my ascending sign or whatever that was that you were talking about instead
That
of
that
my
that
natal
could be
sign.
important, but there there are things that are more specific to you. So, as an example, in astrology, you have what are called transits. So, transits are how planets are impacting your personal chart.
Okay.
And that has a lot more meaning than any horoscope could ever give because
Mhm.
that's generalizing it like there's 12 different kinds of people.
Yeah.
That's just not true,
There's
right?
a lot of other things at play there.
Yeah, every chart is individual. And so
Yeah.
as the planets continue moving, they continue making these sacred geometric angles to your chart that produce different kinds of energy. To give you an example, let's say that, I don't know, maybe Jupiter is making a positive aspect with Venus. If you're single, then that's a really good time to be out there in search of love. Or if you have creative projects that you want to embrace, that is a time of higher creativity.
Hmm.
Whereas, let's say Saturn is making those same aspects to Venus in your chart, well, those are times where you go and you review what's in your heart. Is there baggage from the past that you're holding on to? What are your own patterns and tendencies in relationships that contribute both to positive outcomes as well as negative outcomes in relationships? You have that, Saturn makes that kind of aspect. You have that chance for self review
Mm,
and to really come clean with yourself and perhaps have a chance to have different kinds of relationships.
interesting. So you really have to pay attention to where the planets are all the time. That's
How do I put this? One thing that I've noticed about people is that a lot of times they're rather intuitive about what is happening and about those
Mm,
forces. So when I do forecasting for my clients, a lot of times they go, "Oh, that's why that's happening." They
mm.
were aware of the energy, they just couldn't necessarily put it into words. So, of course, you can go and look up your transits and what's happening. And that's actually a far better indicator for you than reading the newspaper horoscope. That's entertainment. It's not
Yes.
astrology.
Yes. But we all love it to some degree.
There's nothing wrong with being entertained.
Yeah. Yes. Just don't take it too seriously.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh man. Can you tell me about everybody always talks about Mercury being in retrograde. Please
Oh,
tell me
like it
about
is right now?
I feel like it's always in retrograde. I don't know. What does that cycle look like? I used to have a coworker who was, I swear to God, every day it was like Mercury's not in retrograde. Mercury's in retrograde. I'm like, is it ever not in retrograde?
Okay, fair enough. Let me define a retrograde for everyone listening. So,
Yes, please.
retrograde is when a planet appears to be moving backwards through the sky.
Oh, okay.
So the planets are always moving in one direction. But because of the relative speed of the different planets, there can come points where it appears that a planet is moving backwards.
Okay.
And so those periods we call retrograde periods.
Okay.
And with the exception, obviously, of the sun and moon, every planet has retrograde periods.
Okay.
And Mercury, for example, goes retrograde 3 or 4 times a year.
Okay. So quarterly.
Yeah, basically, generally it's three, but sometimes four.
Yeah.
And he goes retrograde for, if I'm recalling correctly, 23 or 25 days. My
Mm.
brain is escaping me here. Here we go. Let me confirm this. My brain is.
It's all good.
Here we go. Yeah, it's somewhere between 21 and 25 days. It's not the same every time. So as a general rule of thumb, 23 days. And so he does this at minimum 3 times a year, sometimes four.
Okay. Yeah.
So when a planet goes retrograde, so I'm going to contradict a lot of what everybody reads here.
I
So
love
when a planet
unpopular
goes
opinions.
so when a planet goes retrograde, it is a chance for you to see your relationship and development of mastery over the area that planet governs over. So
Okay.
when Mercury goes retrograde, you could think of it like a pop quiz. And it's a pop quiz in the area of thinking, communication, organization, and intelligence.
Okay. I don't
So
like
Mercury
any
goes,
pop quizzes, but okay.
you kind of know when the pop quizzes are happening, but
That's true.
yes,
So it's not too pop quizzy.
it's not too pop
Yeah.
quizzy. You do know that it is coming up, but it
Mhm.
really is a chance for you to see what your level of mastery is in those areas.
Mm.
And it is a pop quiz, so you are going to be challenged.
Mm.
You're going to be challenged on your ability to understand and perceive things. You're going to be challenged on your ability to communicate, whether that is outgoing communication or incoming communication. You're going to be challenged on your ability to organize and be on top of things.
Mm.
You're going to be challenged on your ability to adapt. Now, this isn't punishment. People often look at retrograde periods as
I feel
punishment.
like it's always a bad thing. Everybody goes, up, all everything's gone to hell because Mercury's in retrograde.
When you can do 10 push ups and then your boot camp instructor tells you to do 15, is that a bad thing?
No.
Exactly. right? So he's just like the boot camp instructor of the mind.
Okay. It's just, we just need to learn more, be more open at that time.
Can it be frustrating? Absolutely. But also, is it calling us to a higher level of mastery?
Mm.
Totally. And here's the thing, other planets go retrograde too. So, to give you an example, Venus goes retrograde, and she does that approximately every 18 months.
Okay.
And when Venus goes retrograde, that's time for us to examine our relationships and our relationship tendencies,
Okay.
right? Now, some people think about Venus retrograde and they go, oh my God, my relationship's going to end. And no, if you haven't been conducting the relationship in a good way, then perhaps it may, but you can't blame Venus for that. You got to look in the mirror.
Yeah. So
So
go ahead.
there's a little bit of a victimhood mentality that sometimes gets assigned to the planets. There's memes out there that are like, astrology is all about giving you the ability to blame the planets and not yourself. And that's actually not what it's about. It really is meant for you to grow and develop into who you were meant to be.
I love that take on it so much. I think it's so easy. It's easier in this life to blame other things and other aspects than to just take responsibility for ourselves and our own actions and behaviors. And yeah, and really you can choose to look at it the negative way or look at it as a growth way as well.
Absolutely. I come from a background of martial arts. And when I get in the ring and when I spar with somebody, if I get hit in the nose, is it their fault or mine?
That's a great analogy. I love that.
Do I just cry and blame them?
Yeah. No, you're
Well,
gonna
I
work
mean,
harder to figure out how to avoid that next time.
exactly.
Mhm.
In that case, maybe somebody's being a bit of a jerk. Okay, yes, but even still, clearly, my hands were down to some capacity. I left that open to happen.
Yeah.
So there's always some degree of responsibility.
Yeah, for sure. We all play a role. There's in any interaction or we all play a little bit of a role. Things don't just, I don't think that things just happen to people. Some do. Some things do, for sure.
And even then, what are you going to do about it?
It's happened. So now what?
What are you going to do
Blaming
about it?
other things and everyone else, while sometimes definitely justified, like you can also choose to how you want to deal with it, how you want to handle it. Hi, friend, and welcome to this episode of Radiant Resilience. We are always looking for new guests on the podcast. I want to highlight you if you have a story of resilience that inspires others. Everyone has a story, and I believe that sharing yours can help others feel less alone. Are you ready to share your journey and inspire others? I want to hear from you. Every story has the power to impact lives and foster a supportive community. If you have a tale of overcoming adversity, personal growth, or a unique perspective on life's challenges, I would love to have you as a guest on the podcast. To become a guest, please email us directly at radiantresiliencepodcast@gmail.com or click the link in the show notes to become a guest. Join us in spreading hope, strength, and inspiration one story at a time. Be brave and share your story so others feel less alone. I hope to see you soon.
Totally. And if you spend the rest of your life blaming others, you stay in a really negative state.
And then you just never grow because you never take the responsibility and look at what you did wrong and what you could have done differently in the future. Just like you were saying, okay, I got hit in the face. What do I need to do next time to keep that away from happening?
Absolutely. And this is one of the things that I'm on a bit of a personal mission on is to actually take away some of that victimhood mentality from astrology and spirituality in general, actually, that tendency to point fingers outside of ourselves. Because if something else is wrong or if something else is to blame, it's very easy to live with yourself. But
Yeah.
And it's interesting because that victimhood mentality, if you truly love yourself, you can't stay there.
Ooh, that's good.
If you truly love yourself, you can't stay there. If you truly love yourself, you want better for yourself. You
Yes.
will take responsibility for yourself
Hmm.
and you will do what you need to do to evolve beyond that state and to no longer be a victim.
That's so good. I'm gonna write that down. This is so true. Yeah, if you want more for yourself, if you love yourself, you will make the necessary changes.
We're two women here talking, and I'm sure there's a lot of women who are listening. And if it was your child suffering that way,
Mm,
you would take responsibility and you would do what you need to do.
mhm.
And you would not allow them to be a victim or to suffer or what have you. And we need to have that same degree of love and care for ourselves. But part alongside that love is it really goes hand in hand with responsibility.
Yeah. It's so hard to do that for yourself. It's so much easier to do it for others. And especially, I don't know, that's the people pleaser in me too. It's just so much easier to, I don't know, tell others like, oh, you should love yourself. You should do that. Then when it comes down to me, like me loving myself, I'm like, oh, geez, do I? Like, I don't know. It's scary, to be honest with you.
It's not always easy. And the other piece to it too is like when we can tell other people to love themselves, but we don't necessarily do it for ourselves, it also makes us hypocrites. And
Mm, yes.
other people's, they'll listen to you on a surface level, but they may not actually honor the advice.
Yeah.
And, or rather, they will honor it to the degree that we honor it.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. When you're a manager at a workplace, like if you're telling everybody to do a certain thing, but you're not doing it that way yourself, then people aren't going to take you seriously.
Exactly.
Yeah. Mm.
Exactly. Or if you're a fitness trainer, but you're out of shape.
Yeah. Yeah. That's so true. We got to love ourselves, guys. Yes,
Selves enough to be responsible.
yes. Tell me about the moon. Actually, first, let's go back to planets.
Yeah.
Tell me, we talked a little bit about Venus and Mercury. What do all of the planets, like you said, Venus is like relationships and stuff like that. What do all the other planets help us or hinder us with?
Yeah,
Challenge
absolutely.
us with. That's what the word I want to use.
So, Mars, as an example, is the planet that governs over our ability to take initiative, to
Okay.
take action. He's the warrior within us, so also holding boundaries, our enjoyment of physicality and passion. Then there's Jupiter,
Mhm.
and Jupiter is the planet of benevolence and abundance, what others would call good fortune, right?
Okay.
Money, growth, expansion, philosophy. Saturn's the bad guy, so to
Oh,
speak.
why? Poor Saturn.
Saturn is the planet of our limitations.
Um,
So Saturn tells us about the shackles that we carry. Now, that's not his only role. However, it probably is the most significant aspect of it. The other thing is that Saturn governs over the foundations of life. So, Saturn is the lord of time and of karma. And so he likes things that last the test of time.
mm,
So he's always pointing out to us the things that need correction in our lives that matter. He points out where the things we need for the rest of our life need improvement,
mm,
right? So the foundations of our life, as an example, are our health,
mm,
our home, our financial health and stability, our family. Those are all core aspects of anyone's foundation.
mm.
So Saturn indicates to us also the health in these different areas of our foundation and what needs some work, right? Now I have to jump backwards here. And of course, there's the moon, and the
Yes, and
moon
I
governs
was going to ask
over.
you about the moon phases next.
So the moon governs over our emotional nature, but it also speaks to our intuitive abilities.
Okay.
And as women, like we are very tied to the moon.
Yeah, our cycles, right?
Yeah, totally. So it's interesting because like a full moon cycle is basically 29 and a half days.
Okay.
And it, as women, generally our cycles abide by that 29 and a half day kind of mark. And the further your cycle deviates from that 29 and a half days, the less fertile you are.
Oh, that's wild. Okay.
So
More or less, or does it matter? Just
either
whatever.
direction.
So 29 and a half is the ideal
For,
cycle.
yeah, for physical fertility, yeah.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
And so if we deviate before or after, the farther away we are from it, the less chance you have of conceiving, actually. Yeah. And again, like, of course, as women, we're very connected to it. And also, we live in times where we don't need to necessarily abide by the conditions that we used to. So, what I mean by that, for example, is a lot of times how much activity there was at night was really dictated by how much moonlight was available.
Oh, sure, because if you there was no moonlight, you couldn't see anything.
Exactly. We have street lamps
Yeah.
and vehicles that have lights and all
Uh,
these things.
City and even just the city, like, what is it? The light pollution, I guess we call
Yeah,
it.
light
Yeah.
pollution. So that affects us too. But the moon was the light in the darkness.
Mm,
And during periods when the moon was waxing, that's a time of increasing energy, increasing vitality. And then we hit the full moon, that crazy peak that opens up the subconscious and reveals what's there. And then afterwards, you have the waning moon, and that was the time when you went more into rest.
okay.
So you were primarily productive during the 2 weeks of the waxing moon.
Okay.
And it's not that you weren't productive during the waning moon, it's just that you were taking more time for introspection, for rest, for reflection. And we used to work that way for years upon years.
Mm,
And now with modern interventions, things are very different, and we've lost a lot of our innate connection
mm.
to different cycles, and that affects our rhythms.
Yeah.
And we also have expectations of production and output that aren't realistic
Mm,
anymore.
yeah. Busy world we live in for sure.
Totally. So we've really disregarded the cycles that not only kept us healthy, but also kept us thriving in many ways. So, one of the things that I love telling my clients is just look out at the moon every night.
Mm,
Just acknowledge where it's at. Just start with that.
yeah. And what about full moons and new moons?
The full moon, of course, is an interesting time. The full moon really pours light into the subconscious
Mm,
and it makes certain issues viewable,
mm,
or maybe viewable is not entirely the word that I'm looking for, but it gives you the ability to let them go. I'll
mm,
put it to you that way. And every full moon is different. And so as the light of the full moon reflects that light into the subconscious, we get to see what's there.
mm,
And again, we can react to it in different ways. And so some people will go at it from a place of victimhood and just be emotional and not actually heal, whereas others will choose to work with it,
mm.
will choose to release or choose to create, like allow that release to take form in some kind of expression. And the new moon is really a time of planting seeds. It's a time of hope. It's the beginning of a new cycle. It's a good time to set intentions or mini goals for the month. What is it that you want to
Mm.
accomplish?
Which one's the one is the you let go of things where you can write it down and burn it? Is that new moon or is that full moon? I can't remember.
Well, you know what? I'm going to be honest with you. You could actually do that at any point during the
Oh.
waning moon.
Oh, the waning moon. We want to do it during the waning moon.
Yeah, you could do it during the full moon too, but you could do it at any point during the waning moon because it is rest, release, reflection.
Okay, okay,
The waxing moon is more of the productive side of things.
okay, okay. All right, sorry, continue. I just had to ask which one was that.
Yeah, you can do that at any point. But then also, in all honesty, if you ever just feel you need to do it, you do it.
I love that attitude too. If you're just feeling like you need to burn something or release something.
Oh no, I've just given permission to pyromaniacs. No, I'm kidding.
I don't think I have too many of those listening, but who knows?
No, but you know what, in all honesty, sometimes even during those productive modes, you hit a period of frustration
Yeah.
and positive progress is just not possible. And so that's when doing like that little burning ceremony where you take a piece of paper and you put everything on the page, you crumple it up and you burn it without rereading it.
Mm.
And the reason you don't reread it is because you don't want to take it back in.
Oh, I like that.
You don't want to go back and start thinking those thoughts again. The whole
Yeah.
point was to pour it onto the paper so that you could
And
get rid of
release
it.
it. Yeah.
Exactly. So sometimes you just need that. And that's okay too.
Yeah.
You don't have to be constrained by the cycle of the moon. If you've just hit that point of frustration and you just need a little bit of that releasing magic, then just use it.
I love that. So I think we've covered full moon. Tell me about new moon. We've done a little bit of waning, waxing, full moon. What about new moon?
So the new moon is that time for setting intentions, and it's a really good period to be conscientious of what you would like to create over the next cycle. The new moon happens, basically it comes off of that waning moon.
Hmm.
And so the waning moon was rest, reflection, release. And in that contemplation time, it gives you a chance also to think, what would I like for the next cycle?
Yeah.
So during the new moon, you take what you have pondered on, what you have gathered through reflection and introspection, and you plant a seed. And you get to choose what you are creating this cycle. And I think this is really important because so many people allow life to happen to them.
Mm,
This is happening, and that's happening, and this and that. And if life is always just happening to you, again, it's very easy to feel victim to things.
yeah.
And so, something as simple as setting an intention with the new moon. What am I
Yeah.
creating this cycle? And being diligent and focusing on that.
Yeah.
And truth be told, it's not enough to just set the intention. You actually have to follow through on it. But
Ah,
you set the
yes.
intention, you follow through on it. And what you begin to discover is how powerful of a creator you are in your life. It's a really lovely thing.
Yeah. I love that. We love new
So,
moon.
yeah. So, if anybody who's listening is just in a place where it feels like sometimes life is overwhelming and everything's just happening to you, just start with that one thing. At the new moon, you choose a quality that you would like for the next cycle and you focus on building that. And then during the waning moon, so after that full moon period, you take some time to reflect.
Mm,
How did it go? How did this quality contribute to my life? What comes next? Do I need more of it? Do I need something else to support me in a different way? And if you just start with that, I promise you, your life will begin to shift.
Start with the moon. Just start with the
Start
moon.
with the moon. It's our mother, and it's the
Yeah.
closest to us.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. All right. So we've done Mars, Moon,
So we've pretty
Saturn.
much done all the planets except the sun.
Okay.
And the sun symbolizes our personality, like our basic template, so to speak.
Okay.
But it also symbolizes spirit and our ability to create. The sun is literally our life giver, is it not?
Right. Yeah.
And as its rays shine down on us, life is possible on Earth. And it's not just that life is possible, it also makes consciousness possible. If
Mm,
we existed in a state of darkness, what would we be aware of? Yes, life would cease to exist, but also consciousness would too.
yeah.
So the sun is also very important, and your zodiac sign is your sun sign.
Okay.
But the sun can also be important in different ways too, because you can have what are called aspects to the sun. And
Okay.
so aspects to the sun influence your consciousness, they influence your self-confidence, they influence your creative abilities. The sun is also the divine father. The moon is the mother, the sun is the divine father. It symbolizes our relationship to the masculine.
Okay.
So if you want to have a good relationship with men in your life, have a good relationship with the sun.
I do love the sun. I am definitely a sun goddess for sure. I love to lay out in the sun. It's lovely.
Absolutely. I think anybody in northern climes is a big fan of the sun.
Yeah. Yeah. And then here in Colorado, I think we get over 300 days of sun a year. So, yeah, when I go travel places where it's like cloudy and gloomy, I'm like, I need the sun. I'm gonna be so cranky if I don't get sun soon.
Oh my gosh, you know what? So you mentioning that you get about 300 days of sun. This is the second time in, I think, 2 weeks that I've heard that about Colorado. And I'm just going to tell you, don't come to Toronto. Um,
Oh no, why?
so I was reading so I was reading this report about the winter that we had here. And over a 4 month stretch, so they counted 120 days. 90 were overcast. We only had
Oh,
30 days of sun in 4 months.
mm, yeah, I don't know that I would be very happy there in the winter, anyways.
No, I don't think so.
Mm,
But yeah, like taking in that light of the sun, it really is a beautiful thing and to appreciate it of all the energies that are most immediately to available to us.
mm,
The sun is the first.
yeah.
It's always there during the day, whether we see it or not. And so, for anyone listening, I would encourage you to even just, of course, safely allow
Yes.
yourself to experience like the actual light, the warmth,
Mm,
creativity, the life-giving properties that that light emanates, and to begin to appreciate that and to notice how it changes as we move through the zodiac signs because those qualities shift just slightly.
yeah. Wow. So you work with a lot of entrepreneurs, you
Yeah.
said. Why did you choose that like focus?
I stumbled into it, to be honest with you. So my practice originally started with working with individuals and really focusing on natal chart readings and that kind of thing. But I actually used astrological forecasting to grow my business.
Oh, interesting. Tell me more.
So I would use as an example, Tawny, my personal transits. And I would book talks and classes and have promotions at specific times using my transits. And it ended up working quite well for me. So other people started to notice. So I started helping them with the same thing.
So what is a transit?
So a transit is when a planet is making contact with your chart in a certain way.
Okay.
So, to give you an example, let's say Jupiter was making contact with your sun. That's a really good time for fame, publicity, being heard, being seen,
Okay.
that kind of thing. Or if you have a job, it's a good time for a job promotion or to apply for a new position because you'll be seen in a favorable light.
Okay.
So, I was using these astrological transits to assist me in my business. And then other practitioners started asking me. And I really started to become passionate about the entrepreneurial journey because manifesting a business really challenges the core of who you are.
Yeah.
And so I really became passionate about it. And the other thing is that I went through the employment journey myself, working in healthcare and that kind of thing, and it was miserable. And I saw how people were fading on the inside,
Mm,
working jobs that demanded a lot of them, but
mm,
they didn't really truly feel reciprocated.
yeah.
And I decided that I'd rather back other entrepreneurs and watch them become successful and contribute to the world in a meaningful way.
Yeah.
I get to meet all kinds of amazing people who have different businesses and different things that they're trying to accomplish.
And running a
And
business is no easy feat, period. So,
no, absolutely not. And the other thing is that sometimes I meet people I have clients who have like inventions as an example. And if my work supports something really amazing, making it out there into the world
mm,
that helps others, that's also a bonus for me.
yeah,
I
others
truly
helping
want the
others.
world to be a better place.
Yeah,
And a lot of times I've found that entrepreneurs think the same way.
yeah. I love that. So how long have you been working with entrepreneurs specifically?
I would say 10 years,
Okay.
10 years. There was some transition time, and I still do like personal astrology, but it's
Mm,
actually not the vast majority of my work.
interesting. And it's been pretty successful for all the people you've worked with? Like as long as they obviously
Yeah.
follow
So
the steps and do the things.
exactly. And sometimes my job is also holding them accountable.
Yes, sure.
Or how do I put this? Reminding them of aspects of their own nature that may be getting in their
Mm,
way.
yeah,
And in often in cases, providing the healing that's necessary to help them overcome that too.
yeah.
Because I came at astrology even as a young child from this place of what if I don't want to be this way? I was looking for ways outside the box, and I'm always assisting my clients in stepping outside of the boxes of their personality as well, so
Which
that
can
they
be
can grow.
uncomfortable.
It can be uncomfortable, but incredibly rewarding.
Yeah,
When that part of you that has historically tripped you up time and time again
yeah,
stops doing so or does so a lot less frequently, what's to stop you?
yeah. You've now opened so many doors.
Exactly.
That's really cool. So, what was it like being in the world of spirituality is newer, right? Like it's becoming more and more taken more seriously than it used to be. So when you first started embarking on this, what was that? Did people think you were silly for doing astrology readings and stuff?
Oh, absolutely. I was also really young, so that didn't
Yeah,
help me at all.
yeah.
So I remember there were times when it's funny, actually, it was other women who did this. I never had a man do this to me, but there were women who would laugh at me because of my age.
Really?
Yeah. I remember I was at a trade show and when I said in my experience through the years, and I remember I was 29 years old at the time. So I had been a practitioner for 10 years. And this woman just laughed at me. And she was like, "What, you and your 18 years of experience?" And this was like a spirituality trade show. And I was like, "Oh, thanks. I have really great skincare. Thank you very much."
My gosh.
Now, I realize that to most people, and even then, 29, that may not seem very old or very experienced or that kind of thing. But as someone who has studied the human condition and worked with people across all ages for many years, are there things that perhaps necessarily I have experienced in the same way that they have? No, but that doesn't mean I lack the empathy to
Mm,
understand.
right. Yeah. I started doing hair when I was 18. I went to beauty school my senior year of high school. And so when I first started like actually working on people, I was 19, 20 years old or whatever. And I got people all the time that were like, "So you didn't want to go to college or anything?" I'm like, "I'm cutting your hair right now." Like, what? Like I only ever got it when I was in those younger years. Nobody's ever judged me since then, but I'm like, I don't know. I just felt I'm like, you're just asking me that because I'm 19, 20 years old. I don't know. So I very much felt the judgment of my young age and doing what I was doing at the time.
You know what? There's everything we need. We need everything.
Yeah.
Like they're sitting in your chair. They
Yeah.
needed you.
Yeah.
Why ridicule you?
While I'm doing your
Otherwise,
hair.
they'd be doing it themselves.
So,
Personally, I'm very thankful for my stylist. There are things that I can do for myself, and there are things that I cannot. My own hair is one of them.
yes. Yeah, I just don't think, yes, life experience plays into some of this stuff, but I don't know, especially with how like knowledgeable you were and called to it at such an early age, it doesn't, yeah, like you said, it doesn't mean you can't have empathy and understand a little bit and be compassionate. That's really all it is. Just because you haven't had the experience specifically doesn't mean you can't be compassionate.
And it doesn't mean that I can't understand or try to understand.
Right. And
So,
when
yeah,
you're
I
working,
used to encounter that.
yeah, and when you're working with all different types of people in different walks of life, like I've worked with women at all different stages of life. And I feel like I have a really good understanding of the different, not from experience, obviously, but I don't know, like right now I have a ton of clients that are perimenopausal. Like I'm not perimenopausal, so I can't directly relate to that, but I can have compassion for all of that because I've talked to so many women going through it.
Exactly. Exactly. And even perimenopause, it's not the same for every woman either.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I did encounter a lot of, I guess you could say, skepticism
Mm,
early on. I think a lot of times it was more so geared towards my age than it was like the acceptability of spirituality.
okay.
That being said, though, was there some stigma back then? Yeah. Spirituality goes through its trends. And the spirituality of the 80s and 90s got weird.
Was it more like hippie? Is that what you're?
Yeah, a little bit. And then it started getting into like aliens and
Oh,
like channeling aliens and that sort of thing. And I think that kind of weirded people out. And so it really became taboo. And so when I started studying with the Modern Mystery School in 2004, it was like just starting to reemerge, but even then, not so much. So I hid in the broom closet for a while.
shoot.
Yeah, it's okay. I'm clearly out of the broom closet now, but
Yes.
I realized like, what do I have to be ashamed about?
Yeah.
I want to be a better person. That's what my spirituality is for. That was why I sought it out.
Mm,
And now I have the opportunity to serve others in the same capacity
mm,
and to help them grow. Am I doing it in a mainstream way? No. Does that mean I should be ashamed? No, absolutely not.
yeah. I think we all just need to be better at helping each other be better instead of tearing each other down. When you're, especially the women helping women situation, I think it's starting to get better. But like you were saying that women always said that to you, it was never men. Like, not to say that men don't cut women down too, but women, I think we really need to support each other a lot more than we do and not compete with each other.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And recognize that there's something for all of us.
Yeah. Yeah. And we just need to love each other and lift each other up.
Exactly.
Oh, Alexandra, this has been a lovely and enlightening conversation. I've learned so much about astrology and the planets and everything, and I feel like we could probably just keep going for hours. There's so much more, I'm sure. But I'm going to start to close this out. Do you have any parting words for my listeners?
Absolutely. So we are here in 2026,
Mhm.
and it is a year where so much is possible. Saturn and Neptune have both just entered into Aries recently, and we have this opportunity to go outwards and to build our lives. Whatever you want, whatever you believe is possible for you, don't just sit back and wait for what life is going to dish out to you.
Mm,
You have the power as a creator to make it possible. Now be smart about it. Plan, gather your resources, do it in the way that women do it. But you can create what you want for yourself.
mm.
And so please go out there and do it and don't just sit on the sidelines of life. It's not time for that anymore.
I love that. That's fantastic. Thank you so much. If anybody wants to work with you or reach out to you, obviously I'm going to link some stuff in the show notes and stuff, but what is the best way to find you?
So the best way to contact me would actually be via my website,
Mhm.
astrologerroyale.com.
Okay.
And I also have a free ebook while you're there.
Oh, nice.
It's called Star Powered Resilience, and it's a zodiac inspired guide to understanding your professional strengths and talents, how stress impacts you, and with certain tools and tips and tricks on how to mitigate stress according to each zodiac sign.
Love that. Everybody go get that. I'm gonna go check that out myself. That sounds amazing. And then do you usually do one-on-one stuff? Do you have group stuff? How do you usually like to work with people?
Most of my sessions are one-on-one. I do teach classes through the Modern Mystery School. And then also at the beginning of every year, I always do an online forecast for the world, talking about the upcoming energies and that kind of thing. But you'll find information on my classes as well as like the one-on-ones on my website.
Amazing. All right, everyone, go check that out. The link will be in the show notes. Yeah. Thank you so much, Alexandra. This has been a wonderful conversation.
It's been so much fun. Thank you so much.
Thank you. All right, everybody. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you on the next episode. Thank you so much for tuning into today's episode. If you enjoyed our conversation and found value in the stories shared, please consider following us on your preferred podcast platform. Your ratings and reviews make a huge difference. They help us reach more listeners and continue bringing you engaging, insightful content. We appreciate your support and would love to hear your thoughts and feedback. Until next time, keep listening, growing, and sharing.